Welcome to Labs Weekly number 12. Got myself, Adam, and Dan on today. And today we wanted to talk about some work we did a few months back, kind of when COVID-19 hit. We were trying to think of some ideas of, a way we could help some of the medical community and utilize some of our internal tooling and things like that to help things out. So one of the open source pieces of software that a lot of smaller hospitals and things like that use in the medical community is called OpenMRS. So we decided to take a quick look at OpenMRS and kind of have like a hackathon, if you will, and see if we can find some things and provide some benefit to the community, and report those things to the security team at OpenMRS. And so today we want to talk about one of the more risky issues that we uncovered during that assessment, which we've since worked with the team over there at OpenMRS to close and fix that in some recent versions, and also submitted for a CVE to MITRE, which we have a conditional one right now, but we're waiting on confirmation there. So I wanted to hand that over to Dan Amadeo and talk a little bit about the issue that we kind of uncovered and the multiple steps that it took to something pretty egregious.
All right, so the issue David is talking about is a remote code execution. So we were able to execute code on the application server. It's kind of a two-step issue, which is a little bit interesting in terms of how we found it and then how we were able to exploit it. So technically, you could consider it a combination of a path traversal issue and then a server-side template injection type issue. We were able to use basically our contrast agent to help us hone in pretty quickly on a path traversal. And then we were able to upload through another function in the application a maliciously crafted template. So I'll show you how we kind of did that. Like David said, is kind of a open medical record system for healthcare offices and so on and so forth to track patients and treatment and that type of thing. So there is a endpoint here that we found where basically the templates that render this view get kind of populated by the server-side code. If we look at the type of request that gets sent here to the UI, it includes a link to the XML form that populates this view. So you immediately know, like, if we change this to something garbled, then we get an error out of the application. And we tried a variety of things initially here, including like some server-side request forgery type stuff. We initially tried to do some like XML entity attacks to get the application to consume something dangerous, which would allow us to retrieve content or execute code. As you kind of see with the error, the application expects the file that you pass to be in a specific format, to be in the template format that it consumes. So like if we tried to pass in, I'm just going to send this to a repeater real quick so it's a little easier to work with. But if we tried to pass in like Etsy password, there should be some type of a rendering error because it doesn't know how to consume that file. Actually didn't find the resource because I can't type. No resource, so we may not have gone up far enough. You see content is not allowed in Prolog, right? So in this error message we see it's trying to parse XML, but it just explodes because the password, Etsy password, is not a valid formatted XML file that it consumes. So looking at some of the OpenMRS documentation, we found this HTML form module that kind of shows us the permitted tags and how these forms are supposed to be created, and what the server will, what the application will accept in terms of tags and functionality, and so forth. So we found there's actually some like embedded macro functionality. Essentially, they use velocity template rendering. So we were able to craft a XML file that would use the velocity template engine to execute remote code and then output the results to the screen. So we made this XML file that does a uname and then cats the etc password file into the template, which the application knows how to render and then will return to the screen for us to consume. So the next trick is figuring out how we were going to get this to the application for it to consume, because we can only reference local files. So we found that when you check a patient in for a visit, there's the ability for you to attach files as just any person that has access to the interface. So you have to be authenticated, of course, but you're able to attach files to the patient. So we can take this new validly formatted template that we made and attach it to a patient record. And then we need to figure out where exactly on disk that gets uploaded to. So in the response to the upload, we have a couple of things actually. We have in the request, we have a little bit of information that we need. And then in the response, we have a little bit of information. So we need this first part right here, the file name that gets created, which has a date on it. I'm just going to put that right there. And then we need this UUID that gets generated as well. And then the file format on disk is going to look like that. Basically, the UUID gets tacked onto the end. And we kind of know what the directory structure looks like in our request right here. We have to have this bit at the beginning, and we know from how OpenMRS was installed that this is kind of the directory structure here, and the file is going to get dumped right in this directory. So if we take this guy and then put it in this parameter where we have the path traversal, we should get a valid template, and then we should get our code output here as well. There you go. So there's the etc password. And that's pretty much it. David, I believe you can probably provide more context on the timeline of this issue, but I believe they've already addressed it, and we have a CVE that was reserved for it. And we're also going to put out a blog with kind of all these details as well.
Yeah, so the way that OpenMRS works is they allow you to bring in all these different modules. And this one is, I think it's the HTML form entry module in version 3.10.0 that we found this in. The fix that they implemented was basically twofold. They fixed the path traversal by doing appropriate validation to make sure that someone's not trying to put files outside of where they're supposed to go. And at the same time, they also limited the files that you could upload, to prevent people from uploading these velocity templates, right? That obviously you can run local code with. So they did fix that. They fixed things fairly quickly. I mean, I bet it was within 30 days. This is an open community. These people aren't paid to work on this system. So it was pretty nice to see. They responded very quickly and got a fix in for that HTML form entry module to version 3.11.0. So, if you're on OpenMRS and you're using that module, which more than likely you are, because it's really, that system is meant to help manage patients and their data, to make sure you upgrade to that newest version for sure. They're not a CNA. So they recommended we just reach out to either MITRE or some other CNA directly to go down the CVE route. But we thought it was egregious enough that a CVE is probably warranted. There were some other issues we uncovered. I think there were a couple locations for patch reversal that they fixed as well. And then there was a stored cross-site scripting issue with the file upload that I think Dan showed us before. But they were extremely responsive. Everything's very open too. So, if you go to openmrs.org, you can see where all the code is. You can see all the PRs. You can see all the issues and tickets that people have submitted. So it's very open. And really it was fun to work with that team and see how quickly they responded to this. So
the velocity templating thing was really interesting to me, I thought, because we were able to take this technology that we hadn't used before and create remote code execution from it, and then all the different path traversals that we found, because there were several, we were able to actually execute the code on all of the different path traversals. So that was really interesting too.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us again today. Hopefully we'll have a blog and such out for you to look at as well here shortly, if it's not already out by the time we publish. But have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
The 0-day heat will spray, clear the way if their log file touch, get your hard line cut. Number 2, never let them know your next move. Don't you know bad boys moving silence and pirate taken from your wireless? I done flashed mad chips with these hacks just to patch these bits. Number 3, never trust nobody. IRC